Cut it.
Good evening, all. Good evening. Prayer is not asking, it is the longing of the soul. And dance is one of the direct connectors to the divine. It makes one more powerful and holistic and binds the body, mind, and soul.
ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಕರ್ತ ದೇವನೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ನಿಮಗರ್ಚನೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಸವಿ ನೆನಪಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗರ್ಪಣೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ವಸ್ವ ನೀನೇ ತಾನೇ ಸ್ತುತಿ ವಂದನೆ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನೇ ಸರ್ವ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಕರ್ತ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ನಿಮಗರ್ಚನೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ಸವಿ ನೆನಪಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗರ್ಪಣೆ
That was nice. Singing from your heart reaches the ear of God, even if it is mingled with the cry of 1,000 men.
Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I found my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you.
Dear Lord, you always await for each one of us with a new package of blessings and grace. Love unfolds among us the deep sentiments of love, joy, and gratitude for the gift of our founder, Father St. Kuriakose Elias Chavra, whose creative, dynamic, and spontaneous response to the will of God. So, let us enkindle and brighten our committed life to stay constantly in His presence. Symbols give inspiring messages and signify the life of the people. He lived for everyone in the society, especially for the voiceless and the weaker sections. Even today, his life remains as a source of inspiration for all of us. We shall now gather our prayers and aspirations through the intercession of Saint Chavra.
Loving God, we praise and thank you for the gift of Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra as a model of holy life. Give us the grace so that we may be inspired by his ardent life of faith in order to experience you through prayer and to work for the growth of our institution untiringly and thus to be committed to you wholeheartedly. We intercede in a special way so that we may grow in faith and holiness like you.
I will worship you with all of my heart. I will worship you with all of my strength. I will worship you with all of my might, for you are my God.
Almighty God, who in thy goodness has committed us unto the charge of our loving parents who watch over us, provide, and protect us throughout, may we continue to enjoy their loving care. Strengthen us, Saint Chavra, as obedient children. We may be subject to their will and hold them in love and esteem.
I will worship you with all of my heart. I will worship you with all of my strength. I will worship you with all of my might, for you are my God.
O blessed Chavra, through your prayers and services, you are very dear to God and fellow men. You were a friend of students and the one who provided the setting for our forefathers to live together without the distinction of caste, creed, or color at a time when education was not very common. O dear Father, we intercede for your blessings for all our needs.
I will worship you with all of my heart. I will worship you with all of my strength. I will worship you with all of my might, for you are my God.
Compassionate God, provide us with the power of endurance when trials and difficulties face us. Bless us with calmness and serenity to accept and overcome the shortcoming in our life. We pray to you, Saint Chavra, to grant us this virtue of patience to see his plans unfold in perfect timing.
I will worship you with all of my heart. I will worship you with all of my strength. I will worship you with all of my might, for you are my God.
O Almighty God, Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra lived a holy life in your presence and became your pleasing servant through continuous meditation and prayer. Mercifully look upon us who seek refuge in the patronage of this holy servant of yours. Let us ask God's light to penetrate our lives so that we may courageously follow Saint Chavra to lead us with the true spirit of love and service.
Oh, give thanks to the Lord for his good. Oh, give thanks to the Lord for his good. Oh, give thanks to the Lord for his good. As the total is his love.
I never knew there was so much depth about dance and song.
Light represents the purifying presence of God. Lighting a lamp is the manifestation of the good power and the presence of good spirits. Now, isn't this a wonderful way to start this day?
I would like to begin my day in the same way when I'm back home. For a person like me from Australia, This is completely unique and interesting experience.
Do you know what's the significance of today?
As it's a beautiful day and I'm in India, what would be more significant?
As a Christite of Christ Academy, today is a big day for me. It is Founders' Day.
Founders? Now who is that?
Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra is the one. Come on, let's take a peek into his life.
Saint Chavra is the first male Indian saint. He was also a great social reformer, educationist, and visionary. He thought of starting schools adjacent to every church and then calling it Pallikudam. He has many great achievements to his credit. He started the scheme of providing noon meals to students, which were later adopted by the rulers of Travancore to all the schools. The oldest existing newspaper in Malayalam was also started by him. He started many initiatives in Kerala in an era in which society was largely divided on caste and creed. Kuriakose Elias Chavra was born on the 10th of February in 1805 at Kainakari at Alapura. At the age of 5, he started attending village school called Kalari.
Hey Manian, why don't you join this Kalari? You will learn a lot. Please come.
No, education is not for the lower classes. It's only a privilege for the higher classes.
Father, can I speak to you?
Yes, my son.
What happened, my son?
Father, I have completed my primary schooling and I wish to join the seminary.
Come here. If God have decided you to become a priest, you will definitely find your occasion.
Your father and I will meet the parish priest and get his opinion in this regard.
Thank you, Mother.
Okay, my son.
Based on the opinion of the parish priest, Kuriakose joined the seminary at Pallipuram, where Palakil Thomas Mallapin was director. But while he was in the seminary, his parents and brother died of an epidemic.
My students, decades within a few days you will be ordained as priests. All of you have been looking forward for this day. I want you to choose a field which you will be completely devoting yourselves to. Kuriakose, have you put in any thoughts?
Revered Father, I have been pursuing this dream of right to education for all children, irrespective of their caste. I still remember my old friend Manian, who could not attend my Kalari because he belonged to the backward caste.
Kuriakose, that's a really good decision that you have taken. Only education can uplift and improve the backward classes of our society.
Father Kuriakose travelled across the villages, conveying this message of the importance of education for all the children. There was opposition from upper caste people, but Father Kuriakose was convinced about his mission.
Hello, Father. Do you remember me? I'm your old friend Manian.
Mania, how are you?
I'm fine.
Is this your son?
Yes.
What is he doing?
He works with me in the field.
Send him to school.
Okay, Father.
Come, my dear son. Your son seems to be very interested in studies. But Father, we are from the backward caste.
Yes, Father, he is very interested in studies, but we cannot send him to the school.
It's okay. Send him tomorrow itself.
Thank you, Father.
The foundation stone for the congregation was laid at Mananam in May 1831. This is how the CMI congregation was born in 1855. He became the head of the congregation after the death of Father Porukara and Father Palakil. CMI stands for Carmelites of Mary Immaculate. He also started a congregation for sisters called CMC, the Congregation of Mount Carmel, the first indigenous Indian congregation for women. He started the first printing press in Malayalam in 1846. The same year, he started the Sanskrit school and introduced noon meals for children.
He contributed greatly to education, publications, establishing charity homes, spiritual awakening, and he lived the life of a holy monk. Father Chavra was a scholar in 7 languages and has written several spiritual and literary books.
Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra is a role model and has changed many people's life from ordinary to extraordinary.
As a biographer, this definitely interests me a lot.
Well, as this day is getting more festive, I would want you to listen to some soulful music.
Undying flame of love for the Eucharist. A Father, your heart was wide open for the love of Jesus to be filled. For Jesus was your potion and God. Of Saint Chavara, our constant friend of the Eucharist, you who drank from the fountains of His love. Lead us to Father to have the thirst for the Lord in the Holy Eucharist. You were immersed in the Eucharist, in our sorrows and pains and in happiness. You did give entirely to the Lord, in your silence and your solitude. Oh, Saint Chavara, our constant friend of the Eucharist, you drank from the torrents of His love. Lead us to Father to have the thirst for the Lord in the Holy Eucharist.
So much serenity in these songs. It is indeed heart-touching.
The CMI priests celebrate Saint Chavara in their day-to-day lives. There is one such personality here with us today. I would like you to meet Reverend Father Arun.
I wish you all the greetings of the Founders Day. Saint Chavara Kuriakose Elias is a founder of CMI congregation. He was born on 10th February 1805 in Kainagari, Alappuzha district, and died on 3rd January 1871. In the short span of lifetime, he did a lot of unimaginable works. He was a visionary. He paved way for educational revolution. Institutions like Christ University and Christ Academy are result of his foresightedness. He started a home for homeless people. In order to make reading books available to all, he made a printing press. He was a revolutionary and did everything for the upliftment of all human beings, irrespective of their caste, creed, and color. Because he believed in universal brotherhood. That means we all are sons and daughters of same God, whom we call in different names. Today, when we celebrate our Founders Day, let us try to see everybody as our brothers and sisters. Let us look into their eyes with compassion and love, so we can contribute in several ways for their goodness. Let us try to make somebody's day brighter. Once again, I wish you all the greetings of the Founders Day. Thank you.
Oh, that is a revelation to me. I am very thankful to hear to him.
Hold on. To add on more to your revelation, I would want you to listen to these beautiful quotes. It might inspire you further.
Even if you're grown in age and maturity, you have to accept your parents and submit to them.
Children, do not insult or trouble the poor.
The children who have the love of God and the fear of God will love and respect their parents.
Reading good books and meditating on it will illumine your mind.
Trust your mother. God will hear the request of your mother like the baby's request.
Let there be no day in your life in which you did no good to others.
God decides your vocation and you choose it.
Good friends will make you good.
Since you belong to God, you should be given back to God.
Wisdom and purity should be spiritual food, like food for natural growth.
Children, you are God's investment in the hands of your parents.
The humble man is the greatest among men.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to share my thoughts on St. Kuriakose Elias Chavra and how he has created an impact in students' lives through his works. St. Kuriakose Elias Chavra was born on 10 February 1805 in Kerala. He was a well-known educationist and social reformer of the 19th century. He was the co-founder and first Prior General, also known as CMI. Let there be no day in your life in which you did no good to others is an inspirational thought said by him. It teaches us about, number one, self-worth. People who do good to others are always said to be grown-ups. Doing good to others grows the spiritual side of you. Number two, self-satisfaction. If you do good to someone, it will always bring you self-satisfaction. Believe me, if you do good with someone sometime, it will always bring you inner peace. Number three, moral duty. It is a moral duty to give back to the nature. We have been taking a lot from the nature, so by planting trees and taking care of them, it will be a start to give back to it. Number four, making a difference. It may not be a big deal for you, but it will bring a great change in someone else's life. Spending some time in an orphanage or an old age home means a lot to them, those who don't have a family. Saint Chavra is indeed a man who lived and lives still in our hearts through his works and deeds. Thank you.
Chavra, a century back, defined a good family as the image of heaven on earth, where members live together with affection, duly respecting and obeying parents, living peacefully before God and people. This definition comprises all the aspects of a blessed family. The significance of this notion is that nowhere else we see such a refined and comprehensive definition of family. Heaven is where God reigns, and a good family must also be where God reigns, not money, power, addiction or gadget reign. He held a deep conviction that in this world of tears, torn by pains and suffering, the greatest comfort is a family where love, order and peace reign. Saint Chavra says, "Children, you are God's investment in the hands of your parents. You are the precious gift from God." Saint Chavra believed that a family attains heaven-like peace and happiness only when children are brought up on a sound moral foundation. On this note, let us take a step forward and make each one of our family a special place to live in.
Those quotes were really inspiring.
Well then, open your ears to listen to one of the greatest personalities, Reverend Dr. Father Sebastian Ilvattungal.
Dear staff and students, wish you a happy Founders Day, a happy Saint Chavra Day. Saint Chavra's life is celebrated even after 150 years of his death. The greatness of Saint Chavra is that his life continues to enlighten the world. Today's generation finds in him the light that enlightens, chasing away all the shadows of darkness. What is the light that Saint Chavra spreads in the world? It is nothing but his vision and his mission. His inspiration is the gospel of love and compassion of Jesus Christ. His vision was that of an egalitarian society without the walls of separation and discrimination. Such a society is possible only through education. He started schools attached to the places of worship. He made use of his authority to demand that every church should have a school attached to it. His innovation was to provide food for the school-going children By that, he showed that every child has to grow physically and intellectually as well as spiritually. It was his idea of the holistic development of the school children. Starting from the children, he transformed the families, and gradually he influenced the social fabric of his time. That was his mission. He followed the same path of Jesus Christ to build a new society based on love and service. Saint Chavra was a man of letters, a writer, a scholar. He was well versed in many languages. He was a poet, a dramatist, and author of many books. In order to disseminate the light of wisdom to the world around him, Saint Chavra started a printing press. All this show the great vision of the saint who walked ahead of his times. He was not satisfied with the given conditions of life. All this show the great vision of the saint who walked ahead of his times. He was not satisfied with the given conditions of life. As all visionaries, he saw the hidden possibilities and realized them with his hard work. Today, Saint Chavra is a guiding light to all who are walking for social transformation through education, healthcare, social and cultural movements. There are thousands of children and youth benefiting from the pioneering work of Saint Chavra. The CMI schools in India and even abroad and the CMI members are the bearers of the blazing torch lit by Saint Chavra. May this great saint continue to inspire the generations to come to build a bright and beautiful India. Thank you.
Absolutely inspiring. As I'm getting to know more about this person, my curiosity is doubled.
You can never be inspired enough, as there is more for you to see what this person has achieved, not for him, but for humanity.
Saint Elias Chavra was born on 10th February 1805 in Kerala. He was a Catholic priest, philosopher, and social reformer. Education is the soul of a society as it passes from one generation to another. Saint Chavra was an avid believer of education and the improvement of education in our society. Saint Chavra encouraged children of all sections of society to study along with each other and for there to be no discrimination between the rich and the poor. He uplifted the status of women in our society through the formation of religious congregations which gave education and training to girls. He improved employability of women through vocational and technical training. He also introduced extended vocational training for people with physical and mental disabilities, therefore helping several differently abled people to earn employment in a society where previously they might have been ruled out. His contribution to the education sector earned him the title Father of Literacy. Thank you.
The St. Joseph Press, Mananam, the first Catholic press in Kerala, founded by St. Chavra in 1846. This was the third printing press in Kerala and the first press founded by a Malayali without the help of foreigners. In 1846, St. Chavra took essential steps in opening a printing press for the church in Kerala. At that time, there were only two printing presses in Kerala, one owned by Protestant missionaries and another run by the state government. First, he approached the Protestant missionaries to get help to start a printing press. However, they refused to help. Hence, he somehow got permission to see the press operated by the government at Thiruvananthapuram, took mental note of its details and made a mini sample press with his own hands and asked a carpenter to make a full-size press according to his model. The carpenter was successful in implementing the plan of St. Chavra. Thus, the dream of St. Chavra to begin a press for Catholics was realized. It was from this press that the first Malayalam daily newspaper, Deepika, under the title Nazrani Deepika and Karmala Kusmam magazine were published. He was the first Indian to start a printing press in the private ownership. The first printed document from Mananam was a letter of spiritual exhortation wrote by St. Chavra to his friends. In 1846, the Malayalam prayer book Jnana Piyusham was published from the Mananam press. The first wooden press, St. Kuriakose Chavra, got built is preserved to this day as precious relic and tribute to his skill, foresight, perseverance.
Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra started a charity practice known as Pitiari, a handful of rice, to encourage people to make daily small donation to help the needy. The Pitiari scheme supported the midday meal Kuriakose Chavra popularized in schools. The Pitiari scheme was implemented in the following way. Participants would daily set aside a small quantity of rice in a special collection pot. The rice collected would be brought to church during the weekends and was used to feed the poor, especially students, for midday meal.
Saint Chavra also worked for the upliftment of the dignity of women. The status of women in the 19th century, the time of Saint Chavra, was pathetic. As it was a patriarchal society, there was no freedom either at home or in the society for women. The education for them was restricted till adolescence. Women had no right to go for job and earn money. In the church, women were not allowed to participate in retreats conducted in the church grounds. They had no representations in the parish councils. In fact, their role in society was only childbearing, rearing, and working for the comfort of everyone in the home. Kuriakose Elias Chavra conceived the idea of a convent where the girls could learn spiritual matters, grow up as good citizens, and work for the intellectual development and education of women to achieve social welfare. On 13th February 1866, St. Chavra founded the first Carmelite convent for women at Koonavavu, which later became CMC and CTC congregation. Eliswa, a widow, her daughter Anna, Eliswa's sister Tressa, and another young lady named Clara were the first members of this convent. This is the picture of the first convent started up by St. Chavra at Koonavavu in 1866. The motive of starting such an institution of religious life was for the education and empowerment of women and to take care of the spiritual needs.
Greetings all. My name is Achyut Goyal from grade 7. And on the special occasion of Founders Day, I would like to mention an educational reform initiated by St. Kuriakose Elias Chavra. In 1866, with the cooperation of Father Leopold Beccaro OCD, St. Kuriakose Elias Chavra started the Congregation of Mother of Carmel, known as CMC for women. He was the pioneer of popular education in Kerala and the one who inspired the Catholics to start schools in every parish
along with their churches. That is why in Kerala, schools are popularly called Pallikodam, a place for education attached to the church.
Chavara, an exemplary follower of Jesus Christ, was a man of prayer and action. He considered God as his father and other human beings as his brethren. This provides universality to his thoughts and was the vision for a new saga. He had an inclusive spirituality and special concern for the upliftment of poor and backward members of society. In his own words, it is described as his aha experience, seeing God as his father and he as his son. The idea of equality and compassion for marginalized and towards peripheries worked in his mind as a catalyst for his actions.
Stevens of St. Charles midday meal scheme. St. Kuriakose Elias Chavra was an Indian Catholic priest and social reformer. Many social thinkers in the country may not know that as early as in 1830, Kerala schools had free noon meal scheme for all the children. Kuriakose Chavra knew that the schools he started in Mananam and Arpukara would be successful if the poor students, especially Dalits, were given midday meals. It was his original idea. The success of noon meal scheme, conceived and implemented by St. Chavra, inspired Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer, and he recommended it in all government schools. Now, this scheme has been implemented all over the country.
Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra, the founder of the Homes for the Poor and the Homeless. Father Chavra was very much compassionate towards the poor and the marginalized people of the society. In the history of the life of the church in Kerala, before the time of Chavra, there was no charitable institute as such, where the aged persons or orphans were cared for and protected. Father Chavra set up India's first home for the poor at Kainakari in 1869, which continues to this day. It was a home to give refuge and care to the sick and old who had no one to look after.
Pallikudam is a word in Malayalam that denotes a school. Pallikudam movement. This activity started with the aim of imparting free education for all the students, which was attached to churches in Kerala. This movement provided education for everyone without any caste discrimination. Father Chavra introduced the Pallikudam movement. In Kerala, Father Chavra gave a new direction to the Pallikudam movement. As Vicar General, he issued a circular in CM missionaries that he had started several schools attached to their churches, which he made it mandatory for every church to have a school attached to it. In fact, he even threatened that no church without a school would be consecrated. Soon, hundreds of new schools sprouted in the state. The legacy still continues with over 1,200 educational institutions imparting knowledge to over 4 lakh students the world over. In this regard, CMI constitutions stand tall in the field of education.
Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra, a great champion of education in the Syro-Malabar community, rose as a morning star with his dreams and plans for a society in which all would be equal in matters of education, irrespective of caste, creed, and sex. In 1846, Saint Chavra established a Sanskrit school in Mananam and admitted not only the Catholics but was open to all irrespective of caste and creed. In addition to educational institutions, he made the print media and publications powerful instruments of mass education and their social mobility. The field of education included the weaker and marginalized section which had been denied access to the tools of social upliftment. He paved the way for a social revolution when untouchability was at its summit. He emphasized that all children of God have an inalienable right to education.
Kuriakose Chavra started an institution for Sanskrit studies at Mannanam in 1846. A tutor belonging to the Varya community was brought from Thrissur to teach at this Sanskrit institution. After establishing the institution in Mannanam, Chavra took the initiative to start a school in a nearby village called Arpukara. Chavra was the first Indian who not only dared to admit the untouchables to schools but also provided them with Sanskrit education, which was forbidden to the lower castes. Though he hailed from a family which occupied a higher social status, he played a major role in educating and uplifting people, especially of the lower ranks of society.
In cooperation with Father Palakil Thoma Malpan and Father Thoma Porukaram, St. Kuriakose Elias Chavra founded an Indian religious congregation for men, now known as the Carmelites of Mary Immaculate. The activities of the members of CMI congregation under the leadership of St. Chavra created huge transformation in the society. Manager Father Paul, Principal Father Joyce, and Vice Principal Father Arun belongs to CMI congregation.
I'm speechless, and I'm sure there is something more that he has done for the sake of education.
You're right. He has made huge contributions, and every Christite is proud to pass through a portal that is established by his principles.
Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." In the beginning of the 19th century, the state's government of Travancore began to take more interest in the field of education. Missionaries were encouraged to work in that direction. It was then that Father Chavra realized that it was important to progress with time. The religious congregation should concentrate on educational work, he felt. In 1846, he established a Sanskrit school in Mannanam. The school was open to all, irrespective of caste and creed.
In the late 40s, Father Chavra established a Sanskrit school at Mannanam, which was attached to the monastery. Apart from the people of the monastery and the priests, there were many students from the neighboring places who came there for studies. For the better functioning of the school, they bought from Thrissur a man who was a teacher and was belonging to the warrior caste. He was an expert in Malayalam and Sanskrit. His services were very useful in preparing books published from Mannanam in proper Malayalam idiom. Because of his expertise, Father Chavra started to learn Sanskrit from him.
He made the provision to provide study materials, clothes, and midday meals. On Sundays and on feast days, many boys came to study catechism and remained in the church till 5 in the evening. Some of them were from distant places and were poor. To promote efficiency and fruitful work, they thought it was necessary to feed the boys in the noon with kanni, rice gruel. They also provided clothes and sacred articles like rosaries, scapulars, etc. To meet the expenses for this and for conducting of the catechetical school, it was decided that they would collect pediyari, a handful of rice, on every Sunday from every household.
Later in the year 1864, while he was the Vicar General of the Syrians, he took a bold step, for which the country at large should be grateful to him. He issued a mandate calling upon all the parish churches under his jurisdiction to raise schools attached to each of them. For poor students, he arranged midday meals, which even the government schools were not providing at that time. The high literacy rate of present Kerala can be largely owed to the far-sighted policy of Father Chavra in the establishment of a school for every parish. He was a brilliant scholar in literature, well versed in 7 languages: Malayalam, Tamil, Sanskrit, Italian, Latin, Portuguese, and Syriac.
Father Chavra was a great educationalist and strongly advocated the cause of education. He wrote, as soon as the children are able to recognize things, they should be sent to school. Besides, the parents should inquire about their studies and their friendship. Every Sunday, their learning should be checked. He entrusted the well-to-do members of the community and the parishes with the responsibility of providing education to the poor students. He also found out viable means to maintain the schools established by him. In considering his contribution towards education, it is not the number of institutions established by him that matters most, but rather the new thought process he injected into the consciousness of the society that education is inevitable for its all-round progress and development.
It's been a very humbling experience to know about this great saint, and I'll be very thankful to all of you in this regard.
Now, let's hear some words of gratitude.
As Saint Chavra endeavored to educate the mind, it is our duty to educate the heart by being thankful to him and all those who were part of this wondrous program for our Founders' Day. I'm Miss Priyanka and I'm privileged to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable event. To begin, let me thank the Almighty for the immense blessing showered upon us to put up such a thoughtful program. I extend our sincere gratitude to our Principal, Reverend Dr. Father Joyce, and Vice Principal CBSE, Father Arun, for constant encouragement and being inspirational pillars for all of us. Our deepest gratitude to Dr. Father Sebastian Ilavatingal, CMI, for sharing good thoughts with us today. We are very grateful to our academic coordinators, Dr. Sebastian PG and Dr. Nilanjana Basu, for their valuable guidance. We are fortunate to be supported by a team of very active and dedicated teachers whose effort has contributed to this event. We are blessed with a talented music department, an enthusiastic media team, and skilled technical team, and we thank them for their coordination and expertise. And of course, to mention all the departments and event committee. Last but not the least, thank you to our dear students for your cooperation and parent fraternity for your wholehearted and unconditional support always. Thank you for joining us today. Best wishes to a happy and a safe 2022. Have a nice day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.